Speaking with Carl Dumbrell this morning from Emperor Energy on JustStocks. Carl, great to see you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. Good to see you.
Yeah, Carl, look, firstly, for our audience, give us a refresh, a introduction to Emperor Energy.
Yeah. So Emperor is a junior exploration company. Our major project is a gas play in the Gippsland Basin, offshore Victoria. We also have some onshore assets in WA, a oil and gas project there, and we're moving into a small gold project in Queensland. Emperor is a small team. It's run by myself and Phil McNamara primarily. Nigel Harvey is our independent director. We're supported by a good technical team. Malcolm King and Jeff Geary are our primary resources there.
Well, give us a bit more detail, Carl, on these projects. Give us a bit of a summary.
Yeah, of course. So offshore Victoria, project's title is Vic P47. It's known as the Judith gas field. We own 100% of that asset. It's a discovery. It's got a contingent resource and it's got a significant prospective resource. It's in a great location, right next to Exxon Woodside's Kipper project, 5 kilometres from that. It's surrounded by the other projects held by them, the Tuna, Taram, Mantra projects. Cooper Energy's Sol project is close by, as is Seven Group with Longtom. Our project was drilled in 1989 by Shell, which is why we have a discovery. Back then, gas prices were insignificant. Today, they're absolutely significant and critical to energy in Australia. So this project coming back online. In years of our custodianship of this project, we've done a pre-feed study with working towards bringing gas to market by Orbost. We also have a understanding with Cooper Energy on doing that, which has been through regulatory hoops with the ACCC. We've acquired 3D seismic in recent years, processed that seismic and done an AVO analysis on it. Last year, we commissioned a number of chaps to do some work and we've got some game-changing results there. We're currently doing some well design work and we've got an EP to get completed this year. Onshore, we have a WA project. It's in good standing with the authorities. It's a great project to keep in the war chest, but our primary project at the moment is offshore, Vic P47. We've also announced last year that we are picking up an interest in some mining licenses in Queensland, some gold licenses as a diversification play, and we will discuss those in a minute. These are some good projects. They've been privately held for 30 years, and we feel it's a great time to turn them back on.
And as far as Judith, Carl, you've had that permit renewed, have you?
Yeah, so last year we went through a process of applying to renew to NOPTA, the application for an extended period of time. The primary reasons around that came out of a decision in the federal court in 2022 affecting Santos that brought environmental plans to a grinding halt. That decision has been sorted through the courts in the favour now of the industry. We had to do a pile of work that we never had to do prior to this position. So NOPSEMA required a much more detailed environmental study to be done. We've been working through that. That delayed everything for us. We then applied to NOPTA to say we need more time. We've had to go through an extensive application to extend that, including going through our work program, our technical team and our financial capability of doing that. We're really pleased to see that that has been commissioned in our favour in February. So that turns it all back on. Like we basically couldn't do a lot in those couple of months because we needed the ticker box from the regulator that, yes, we're granting you longer to get on with this program. It also says to shareholders in the market that NOPTA sees us as the right company to lead this. These extensions don't get renewed to everybody. So it's a real good ticker box and shareholders need to sort of consider that in looking at EMP.
Well, give us a bit of an update, a bit of a refresh as to some of the recent work you've done on this project.
Yes, so we've always had people challenge us on certain technical aspects of our work, in particular petrophysics. So we've gone and found one of the lead experts in the industry called Steve Adams. Steve's done immense work across old wells in analysing them, and we met Steve last year following a presentation he was doing for other companies in similar projects in the basin. So we've commissioned him to go and do a study of what's called permeabilities of Vic P47. Now, what that is the control rates of gas flow into production and gas saturation and reservoir thickness. So it's very technical, but this is the main hurdle you get to when the boffins are sitting down looking at the project. So Steve's worked, as I said, with a variety of global companies on this, and his work's well respected. And he's developed a technique for analysing historical wells with poor geophysical logging quality. Now, why do we have that? Because our well was drilled in 1989. The records back in 1989 are nowhere near to what they would be 35 years later today. So Steve's work is game-changing for us in the way he can interpret this and show permeabilities. And what he's been able to calculate is that basically the permeabilities he believes sit there are 15 to 20 times higher. So this is significant. Following that, we got Jared Dunn to look at seismic AVO response and looking at our Judith 1 and Kipper wells. So these two reports by themselves are what is opening doors for us with potential partners right now. And this is what investors, again, should look at.
And I suppose, Carl, you're in the right spot, given the upcoming demand for gas on the East Coast.
Yeah, you don't go a day without the headlines in the paper talking about energy, cost of living, and in particular, gas. So Australia is moving from fossil into cleaner sources of energy. That will take 25 years. And in that transition, gas becomes mission critical. Our project sits in a wonderful hydrocarbon basin. It is surrounded by pipelines that feed into East Coast Australia to provide energy straight into Victoria, up and down New South Wales and Queensland. So we know we're in a good location. We know the resource is highly demanded, and we know that the government has had to turn around and say, yes, we do need gas. So again, another reason investors should have a look at this little company.
And we're seeing a bit of action as far as rigs moving into the area.
Yeah, we are. Back to what I mentioned before, and that is a couple of years ago, the offshore industry turned off. Federal court, in the case with Santos, basically required everybody to stop work and look at doing further environmental planning. Following the court's position now on that case, we're all back at work. And last week we saw the announcement of a rig leaving Singapore for Australia for an extended period of time. So the Transocean Equinox is heading down here, and that is a massive boost to the industry to see it finally turn back on. So I think, again, you're going to see a lot of uplift in offshore oil and gas in the next 18 months.
And Carl, just back to that other project you mentioned before, the gold project, that's between Townsville and Charters Towers, is it?
Yeah, that's right. So this is a project that's been privately held for 30 years by a family, and they are divesting as the primary person who owned it has deceased. Now, it's highly prospective for gold. My team has mining engineers in it. Phil McNamara is a mining engineer. So this has come to us. It's something that we said, all right, we'll go and do some due diligence on that. We've had our guys go and do that. They've done 3 site visits. They've done extensive soil sampling and rock sampling process while on site. And those samples have been taken back to labs and processed. Those results will be released today to the market, and they're positive. It gives us the green light to say, look, this is a good little project. It's a mining lease. It enables us to get on site early and do some work at a fairly low cost environment. The reasons for that is because it's not far. We don't need to build a camp. It has all the sort of elements we need to it, and we can toll mine it. So Phil's been in negotiations with surrounding gold mines about mining process and tolling and things, and our analysis shows that all of that is extremely feasible. Again, there's no big issues. There's no native title. That's what we like about it, is that it's not a difficult project to work. So we'll be moving forward in that in a positive way following the release of this data. And we think over the next 2 years, it will actually create a positive cash flow for the company. So it will not distract us. That's a real important point I'm trying to get across to investors, that our offshore oil and gas play is our big play. But this is a complementary asset that basically can help the company along. We will remain open, of course, to what may happen, and by that, look, we may bring a partner into this project standalone. Might be a smart thing to do, but we see it as just a good little project that can complement E&P with its other ongoing activities.
And to assist E&P moving forward, you're launching an SPP, this share purchase plan. Carl, tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah, look, we waited a long time to get the NOPTA approval, and we had to naturally engage with regulatory authorities and government to get that done. As anybody's invested in a company knows, firstly, the whole team here have a lot of skin in the game. We're all major shareholders. We respect our shareholders and the capital they've invested with us. And rather than go out to market and just do a placement and bring new parties into this company, we think the fairest thing to do following that NOPTA approval is to say to shareholders that here's an opportunity for you to put some money back in this company, without brokerage and transaction fees at a fair price, with some good news flow coming. We know that oil and gas is back in a positive way. We know East Coast gas is there. We can see the regulatory authorities working with us. So we see a real positive opportunity for investors to get behind this. So we'll be launching that SPP today, be open for a couple of weeks. And we'd encourage people to either call me or the guys that are assisting with us with that, ask some questions, email us. But it's a really good opportunity to get behind the company.
Well, tell us more about that opportunity, Carl. Just remind us about the investment case.
Yeah, so I can only come back to we're a clean balance sheet. We're a low-cost company. We don't employ all these teams of people. We run to a tight budget. We basically have a green light to get on with this. And since getting that green light, we're engaging with the companies you would expect us to be engaging with. And with that work that I discussed from Steve Adams and Jared Dunn, that is opening the doors. Now, it has taken time. I know people always say to me, oh, you've said this before, but we have worked this project. And every time a company comes to us and says, I have a problem with this, we go away, we look at their questions, and we come back and challenge them again. And that is working. So I would say that under the terms of an SPP, look at the paperwork. You don't have to put a fortune in this, but it would be a nice little complement to your investment in E&P. And we'll be supporting it.
And Carl, finally, just briefly, upcoming news, what are those near-term milestones?
Major news coming is we're doing a flow modelling piece of work at the moment, and that's on P47. So that's to look at basically how much gas we can bring to market into the East Coast gas market following drilling. So we don't have those results. They've been undertaken. The team doing them says, look, naturally it looks positive, which we believed it would, but we'd hope to have those results and out to the market by the end of April.
Great to see you, Carl. Thanks for your time on JustStocks.
Thank you, Andrew.